an education early learning engagement specialist, and I am thrilled to introduce some of my fellow educators and colleagues here on the Zoom screen today. Take it away, Mary Eileen.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming and spending a little time with us this afternoon. My name is Mary Eileen Hayes. I am a 4K teacher in the Madison Metropolitan School District. And Jamie and I have been friends for several years now. She used to teach 4K with me. And so she came in and did some fun things with my class. And we thought it might be fun to share them with you. So I hope you enjoy.
Thank you, Mary Eileen. And we also have my colleague, Nick Ostrom, on the Zoom today. And he will reveal himself a little bit later when he shares some exciting opportunities regarding the media literacy credential that PBS offers. And I hope that Frank joins him for some special commentary. But thank you so much, everyone, for being here. All right. And because it's afternoon, and I imagine that most of you were teaching the entire day, please feel no obligation to leave your cameras on, relax your eyes, and just settle in for some media literacy time together. Thank you. All right, Mary Eileen and I introduced ourselves. And I would love for you to think about one of your favorite sources of media that you integrate into your learning space. Maybe something new you've discovered this year. It could be an incredible book, a piece of music, a video, or a website. So please think of that. And when Mary Eileen and I say the magic words that Jack Johnson was just singing to us, it's always more fun to share with everyone. I want you to release your chat button. So go ahead and write one of your favorite sources into the chat right now, but don't press send until we say the words of Jack Johnson. Just let's think about one of your favorite pieces of media. I know we all have them. And it's sort of amazing how they change from year to year because there's just so much coming at us. And then think about all of our friends, how much they are disseminating and filtering every day of their little lives too. All right. Hopefully you've shared some ideas in there.
But we're not supposed to press send yet. It looks like we lost Jamie. So we'll give her a second to hop back on. She was having a little bit of internet problem earlier, so hopefully this resolves. And I'm not exactly sure how this thing is supposed to work, but I think like we're all supposed to press send at the same time. And she talked
yes,
to her
hi Mary Eileen, I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back.
Very good, Jamie.
Thank you for your Zoom patience, everyone. All right, when we say Jack Johnson's words, release your chat into the world. It's always more fun to share with everyone. And take a moment to, oh, I like the Spotify collaborative playlist. That's cool. How fun to have families have that too. Great one. Ooh, news from a Brazilian newspaper? That sounds lovely. Ooh, I love the rain sounds during nap time. I hope that as you are reading these, you are collecting wonderful ideas from one another. Any you'd like to comment on, Mary Eileen?
I put YouTube in because that's what I just like, if there's anything that comes up during the day, or like if we're studying a bird and we want to hear what it sounds like there's just, it's always, it's just always got the answers. So I make a lot of use of YouTube, and it looks like I noticed YouTube mentioned more specifically, like YouTube science videos, animal and vehicle sounds on YouTube. So yeah, any kind of auditory stuff that you can't get from a book. The Art Sherpa, I got to check that one out. I don't know.
It
I
sounds
don't
fun.
know about the Art Sherpa, but I think I want to find out.
All right. Well, again, thank you for sharing your ideas with us. And I hope that some of you are inspired to check out some of these resources that maybe you haven't heard of before. I feel like as teachers, we are always gathering material and updating, and no problems being late, Julie. I love that you bring Taylor Swift to the little ones too. Yes, go Noodle. What would we do with Go Noodle? Thank you. And if you think of ideas as I'm talking, don't be shy. Go ahead and put them in the chat, please, because that's a wonderful collection for all of you to have for one another. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again and hope that the Zoom gods bless me in my sharing here.
Pinterest too is such a good one. I saw someone put that on.
Yes. I like how it's visually organized too. It's not too overwhelming.
Yeah, a great place for ideas.
All right. So here's our flow chart for today. We're thinking about what even is media literacy. And I was impressed by your responses in the chat. And can media literacy really be playful? Yes, Mary Eileen and I were having a lot of playful fun with the media literacy that we integrated into her 4K classroom, and we're excited to share those pieces of media with you. We want to share more information with you about our PBS Media Literacy Educator Certification and Cohort, and ideas for putting it into practice. So we hope that you leave this webinar today with some fabulous new resources that you can use tomorrow in your learning spaces. All right, so this is one of my favorite quotes from one of my new favorite books that I'll highlight later in the webinar, and maybe you'd like to join us for the study of this book in May, June, and July, but it's from Faith Rogow, and she writes that media literacy is reading the word and the world. And you think about your own childhood in comparison with the children in your care and how media rich their lives are. And they are reading that world every day and all of the graphic images that come at them from so many different sources. So I feel like that sort of sums up media literacy so beautifully. Media literacy is reading the word and the world. And I like to bring us back to 1969 Sesame Street when we think about the challenges of media literacy, because Sesame Street was developed in response to this question: can television be used to truly teach children? And it was extremely controversial at the time. And Joan Gance Cooney was committed to working with all of these different researchers and early childhood professionals who said, yes, when done well, when integrated with all of this research, we can do amazing things. And so that's how Sesame Street was born, in a pure need for education that reached people who struggled to find equitable resources for quality material. And Sesame Street brought that to us. And one of my favorite parts about Sesame Street is its incredible representation. And for me, growing up in the 70s, it was the first time I ever saw a diverse cast, equal parts man and woman, and also the first time I ever learned that anyone could speak with their hands because they couldn't hear and that they were deaf. So when we think about meaningful media then with children, we think about them as creators and consumers. And I know when Mary Eileen and I were first working on this credential, we were a little hesitant because we weren't sure about that media making for young children. But I think that will hopefully change your mind if you're thinking along those lines too. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Mary Eileen?
Yeah, I think when we started, I sort of wasn't sure exactly what all media encompassed, and I was a little hesitant because I felt like, is this going to be using iPads in the classroom, which for 4K we were all given a set, and I'm a half-day program and it's play-based, and like I just want the kids to be playing with each other, and I really didn't want them to be, on a screen for any more time than is necessary. And so Jamie kind of helped me realize that there's a lot more to it than just, like using iPads or doing apps. And even though we did experiment with that, you won't see it in our presentation today because I think it was true that like that wasn't really where we felt we got the most bang for our buck and our time. So
Yes.
it was fun to create media instead of being consumers. We were more creators.
Thank you. And I think we all feel a little hesitant to have more screen time in our learning spaces. And I think with the idea of media literacy, we all can discern how that screen time is utilized and integrated, and sort of changing our mindset around more of not the necessarily policing of media, but the real integration and discernment of media. And so I think about our future and how sometimes we're told that quote about how by 2030, there will be 70% of jobs that we don't even know exist yet, right? Because the world is changing so quickly and there are so many new technologies being added to different media literacy perspective. I think about an article that I read from Forbes that says, actually, that is a great quote, but remember, that idea of our jobs changing that rapidly comes from Dell Technologies, and the skills of communication and of actually collaborating and getting along with one another will always be incredibly valuable, no matter what field our young people end up pursuing. All right.
I thought we were going to lose you there, Jamie. The connection got a little.
I saw the unstable warning and I was like, uh-oh. All right. So thinking about the different ways we use screen time and how interactive and fun it is, right? I like this slide. Technology is more effective when we use it together, engaging, communicating, learning, and creating. And I feel like, as unfortunate as COVID has been, it really gave us a new insight and window into all of these possibilities, especially when it comes from how we integrate media into our learning spaces. And when I was teaching virtually, I don't know what I would have done without PBS resources. And that is a significant reason why I transitioned from the classroom into this wonderful life that I live now in PBS. I relied on them so much, and I'm still admitting people here. So thank you for your patience.
I got that.
Oh, thank you.
You don't have to think about those.
Okay.
And Jamie, I just wanted to let you know we aren't seeing your slides right now.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much.
Reshare.
Yes. Thank you. So let's go back to this fabulous graphic here. Technology is more effective when we use it together, and all the different ways that we do that. Thank you, Jen. All right. And so one of the main goals in PBS is to help educate.
All right, I believe we've lost Jamie again. She usually pops back pretty quick. Yeah, it will suggest that to her when she comes back on.
I can share her slides for
There
her,
she goes.
so I'll bring those up. So if that's causing an issue.
Thank you, Nick. I think she just got.
Thank you very much, Nick. It could be the issue, but I'm back again. And so here we are with the 6 goals for sharing media. And you can go ahead to the next slide. Great. Sparking, modeling, exploring, creating, documenting, and sharing. And so we'll try to hit on all of those for you today. And if we don't, we will certainly share resources that do. So we can go ahead to the next slide. And Nick Ostrom, fellow education engagement specialist, please tell us about the certification program and your cohort.
Hi. So there's a nationwide certification created by PBS and a public media station in California called KQED to get certified in media literacy. And this is for all grade levels, no matter what age you're teaching. You can see it's made up of 8 micro-credentials. So basically you can do this on your own time in any order, or you could do it as part of a cohort. So Wisconsin is one of the states that have a cohort of educators. We meet on Zoom once a month with the occasional in-person workshop as well. We just had our in-person production workshop on Saturday. That's what Jamie was mentioning, that Frank attended, where we learned audio and video production for education at the PBS studios in Madison. And, you know, Frank, if it's all right to put you on the spot, do you want to say something about your experience?
Sure. I just love what Nick has put together and the team and Jen. And it's just, I actually didn't know what I was getting into. And I've been teaching media literacy to my middle school students for probably the last maybe 12 years. So I was like, what am I going to get out of it? But really, I've just been so amazed at how everything has been useful. Everything we create for our portfolio and submission has been hands-on things that I could actually implement and test out with other classrooms. And then I've been doing video production for probably almost 20 years with my students, and I learned so much this weekend. I've been all day I've been sharing in my circles like all the cool things we did in the recording studio at downtown Madison at the PBS recording studio. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's just things that the students can use that will help that creation portion, you know, whether they're littles or they're, you know, high schoolers, you know, just having certain tools in my back pocket in my toolbox for when I'm teaching these lessons and how to bring out that creativity and you know, encourage them to be creators and not just consumers. So yeah, I've been very privileged to be in a cohort with another CISA member, a colleague of mine. And so, yeah, I can't recommend it enough to anyone that wants to kind of dive into that media literacy.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, you know, if you're interested in joining our cohort, we're opening applications in the next couple of weeks. And like Frank said, he's working with a partner from another CISA. We do encourage people to apply as partners or in groups. So if you know anybody who you'd like to pair up with and work together, and I should mention, it's all free. I mean, there's no cost for any of this. Our in-person workshops, the cohort itself, the certification, it's all free. So there's no cost at all. So I'm going to pass it back to Jamie.
All right. Thank you, Nick. And thank you so much, Frank. It's fabulous that you're with us today. So Frank spent the day with other cohort members at the PBS station, like he said, all day Saturday. And look at him here again on Monday, back at it, wanting to learn even more. So I hope you get some early learning tips with this webinar, Frank. All right. Thank you. So Mary Eileen and I started with some of the self-paced learning courses that we have available from PBS Kids and Sesame Workshop. And we knew that we wanted to focus on learning about winter. I joined her in her classroom after winter break, and thankfully we had nice cold weather and some good snowfall that the students could draw from. So we chose the Changing Seasons course. And it's one of the 21 courses. And really every course's goals are to expand curiosity, to share as many multimedia resources with you as possible. They're full of bilingual printables, and they're all available on the Wisconsin Registry for free registry credit. if that is helpful to you. And I will share that link a little bit later in the webinar. So this is the course that we were mostly focusing on with our work in 4K. And so we wanted to share with you one of the pieces of media that we used to spark early learning, and that was Eleanor Wonders Why. And this is a wonderful show that really is based on learning about the world. So Eleanor is constantly outside asking questions, making observations, and really basking in wonderment. And so thanks, Nick. Tell me that your screen isn't now doing that too.
I just had to make it work for the sound, so I had to redo it.
Okay.
You're good to go.
All right. So Nick, if you want to go ahead and play that for us, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
There's no time like no time when winter time is here. Sliding, gliding, so fun. What a time of year. But when the snow has fallen and the lake has froze, different animals seem to wear different kinds of clothes. So
I wonder if Nick is also having trouble. I can try to share the video, Nick, if that was not working on your end.
I just disconnected for a second.
Okay, interesting. Let me try and we'll hope for the best here. Here we go. For what it's worth, I did a webinar earlier today without any problem, so who knows?
there's no time like no time when winter time is here. Sliding, gliding, snowball fun. What a time of year. But when the snow has fallen and the lake has froze, different animals seem to wear different kinds of clothes. Some wear cozy snowsuits with scarves and mitts and hats. Others wear their normal clothes like goats and beavers and bats. Ah, there's no time like no time when winter time is here. Saucers letting so much fun. What a time of year. Woohoo! Well, did you find anything out? Yes and no. Some of us wear lots of winter clothes, and some of us wear hardly any winter clothes at all. I know. Let's make a chart so we can see what's the same and what's different. Wearing lots of winter clothes, not wearing lots of winter clothes. Tell me what everybody is wearing. Let's see. Bodie and Rolly are wearing full snowsuits. Bodie and Rolly, got it. Javier, Mary, and Lizzie are only wearing scarves over their normal clothes. Javier, Mary, and Lizzie. This saucer sled is awesome! But kinda hard to control. What are you guys doing? We're trying to figure out why Olive got so cold. Yeah, some of us need lots of winter clothes, and some of us don't. Well, you can put me in the not so many winter clothes category. I like to let my fur fly free. But we still don't know why. Wait, fur! Oh, you have fur! You bet I do.
All right, so that gives you an idea of how we sparked their learning. And I love that the characters within Eleanor Wonders Why really model learning, model sorting and categorizing, problem solving, asking questions. And even in this episode, you can see that basking in wonderment. And so this is one of the pieces of media that we use to share, to get our media making going. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Mary Eileen?
Yeah, I was going to say also the collecting data, which is one of the 4K standards, and they show her, doing the little graph. That's like at the 4-year-old level. That's what, a perfect example of collecting data and using a graph to express, data results.
Thank you. And I love that she made it completely on her own as just a lovely modeling of of creating that data independently. And I was very fortunate when I came to visit with Mary Eileen's classroom. She had already been spending a lot of time learning about different Wisconsin animals and their adaptations to winter. So we thought one of the best, most playful things we could do is create a winter kind of a podcast out of a hibernation den. So I have a feeling all of you early childhood educators out there know exactly how we made this hibernation den. And it's coming at you right now.
This is the nature.
And I have a feeling you even know where I purchased this little den. It's the perfect little IKEA tent. And with a few blankets, it was just the inspiration they needed. So we decided to set up a microphone in here with our laptop and invite students in, hoping that they could do some pretending and dramatic play with us while they talked about different animals and their adaptations. So this might be a little hard on your ears. I know you're in this environment every day, but as far as Frank and Nick go, the sound quality has a lot of background noise because we chose to be in the classroom. And so here is a little taste of our Nature Nuts podcast.
Nut podcast. Talk about winter. The snow bears, then the booze, then the white then my hat, then my mittens go on wet. So I go away.
Back in the hibernation den here with my friend Dylan. He's going to tell us all about the season of winter. What's the temperature in the winter, Dylan? Is it hot or cold? Cold. And what do you have to wear to go outside in the winter time?
Boots, jackets, hats,
You are smart. What do you like to play with in the winter time when you're outside?
sledding.
You go sledding? What do you need on the ground to go sledding?
Snow.
Cool.
Hello, here we are in the Nature Nut 4K den with some mystery animals. What's your name?
Let's be the fox.
And what's your name?
John the fox.
And are you the dad fox? Where are you?
In the den.
Why are you in a den?
Because so we can stay warm.
Oh. And what do you have all over your body that helps you stay warm?
Oh.
What color is it?
Orange and white. Only white.
Ooh. How do we know it's winter time?
Because it's the best.
What temperature is it in the winter? Is there anything on the ground that makes footprints when you walk across it?
Yeah.
What is that stuff?
No.
Is there anybody else who lives in the den with you?
No.
Is there anything else we should know about being a fox?
Yeah.
What?
The plankton get the food.
Sean, do you want to tell us anything more about being the dad fox?
No.
Are you the one that goes hunting?
Yes.
What do you hunt for?
Snacks.
Snacks?
Just a snowshoe.
Snowshoe hare? Whoa! Good luck finding it.
And I hunt for fish.
Really? Aren't the fish frozen in the water?
Yeah.
Where do you find the fish in the wintertime?
Once I will break a hole.
How do fox break a hole?
I'm gonna tell somebody to break a hole for me.
You can talk to somebody?
Yeah.
I thought you were a fox.
I'm a talking fox. Me too. I'm a talking fox too.
So you can see how it turns a little silly. We're trying to get them to share all of the smart things that they know and also accepting their ideas. So we used an app called Audacity app, which is actually a free app. And honestly, it's really just like a glorified tape recorder, but it's so easy to edit and change up the sound segments to really complete a podcast. Oh, thank you for that comment in the chat. And thanks for bearing with all of the background sound. And we felt like it was a trade-off to offer this in the classroom, in the dramatic play area versus taking them outside to do something a little quieter. But we'll compare that with our digital storytelling in a moment. But we liked the imagination that they brought to the hibernation den, and they were so excited to go in there with a microphone. Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to add that on that, the screen sharing lost again, Jamie, like, I don't know what happened to your slide deck, but it's gone. But that there was a little picture that one of the students had drawn of the nature nut den, that little picture there that you can see. It was maybe, you know, like several days later. And so it was just really neat to see how their interests and, you know, kind of transferred over to a different area of the classroom that we call the Make It Center, where they can just go and do like free art kinds of activities. And but they were really excited that they had drawn the nature den, which is why I featured it on that photo there. Pretty cute.
Thank you. And I'm happy to stop if anyone has any questions about any of the technicalities about the Audacity app or any kinds of questions you're wondering about with podcasts. For all of you Reading Rainbow fans out there, LeVar Burton has a new podcast called Sound Detectives. That's pretty great. And I think your students would love listening to it. I'm still a big fan of his. And Mary Eileen, if you just want to check some of the chat questions and responses, if anyone has any questions in there, we're happy to answer those as we move along here. I loved how thrilled students were to hear their voice. It reminded me of using a tape recorder when I was a little girl, and just isolating their adorable little voices is a great reminder as a teacher of how challenging language is and how much effort it takes to put sentences together, use descriptive language, and then really hear how expressive their language is and just how thrilled they are to learn and really be in the hibernation den and also just at school learning and growing every day.
There's a question in the chat. Can you let us know what the app is that is a recorder? And I'm not sure, Joanne, if you mean the Audacity app that Jamie was talking about.
And that is the app that will record their voices, yes.
Yeah, it was called Audacity. I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think.
Great. Great. I know we were both a little intimidated to try a podcast in 4K because of the unpredictable nature of the things that they'll say and do. And so you could hear, you know, suddenly we've got a fox going fishing and telling people to dig a hole for him in the ice. And it just is such a great reminder too of how funny they are. Students are when you really allow them to be and give them that creative freedom.
And their parents really loved it, loved listening also. You know, this is a nice way for parents to be able to connect to what's happening in the classroom. It's easy to share. And we got a lot of positive feedback from families.
And I know some students really love pointing out which of their friends were talking at that particular time too. It was like they had the control and leadership of the podcast. It was really, they felt like they really owned it and could speak to it, which was great.
Yeah.
All right. We also tried a digital storytelling idea, and this was also very simple because we used Google Slides. So students drew various illustrations about winter. And then we took photographs of their illustrations, put them on Google Slides, and used the Audacity app once again to record their voices. And again, they were thrilled to hear one another's voice. They loved it when their turn came up. And it made sharing their work more of like a mystery, I felt like. So they were excited to guess like whose was whose, which was almost as fun as the sharing itself. And I loved how students, even in the short time that I was there, had the idea of editing. If they said something that wasn't quite nuanced or detailed enough about their illustration, they started using the word, oh, can I edit that? I didn't say enough. I need to edit that. And I was thrilled that they were picking up that vocabulary too in the podcast and in the sharing of their digital stories. So we've got a few to share with you today. We won't give you the entire slideshow of students, but we have 3 to feature here. And here comes the first. Whoops, let's start that again.
It has rubber to keep it warm in the Arctic, and it's going into a cave to get to see its mama.
All right.
This is a sunset, and this is me. This is the ice cream, and this is the ground.
And can you tell me again what you're doing in that picture?
Ice skating.
What season is it?
Winter. Mom, this
Here we go.
just for is bad for snowballs that the people
What happened when the people got snowballs all over their bodies and face?
eat in the box.
I hope he ate the snowballs, not the people.
She ate the people.
No!
Yes, he did.
Were they frozen like ice cubes?
He froze it. And then he had breath and he froze in the people.
Whoa.
And he fired it. And then he was roasted and he was dead. Mom,
Oops. All right. Would you like to add some commentary
Duh.
to some of those,
Duh.
Mary Eileen? Oh, we'll wait for this one. This is our favorite here.
Well, someone put in the chat, they were wondering what to do with like younger kids, like 8 months to 18 months.
Oh,
And I was thinking, we can kind of have that in the back of our mind as we're proceeding and getting ideas. But I was thinking even that, like to, when my own children were really young, I have a little portfolio of their very earliest drawings, which are just like faces. And as their language develops, like I wish that the technology were around then. Because you could capture like their first words and attach, an image to it that they drew, and you could do a digital storybook from, their earliest language development.
I love that. And think about what a beautiful gift that is to have a digital file of each student and have that at the end of the year to see and hear their development. It's really lovely.
Definitely. Yeah,
Right.
I was even thinking of it just like as a mom at home with your child, like not even in like a daycare setting or like a care setting, but yeah, even if you just captured a few throughout, the school year, just 1 a quarter per student, you could send home a little, mini portfolio or something. That'd be so neat.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. That's a great question. We wanted to share Beckett's because he is Transformer obsessed, and just a reminder that your podcast, your digital stories clearly will not be always in sync with what we're asking students to do, right? But with some guiding questions, we can get there based on the students' interests and what they love to think about and draw, and sort of somehow figure out how we can make that connection. So you definitely heard me doing a little reaching.
I love that with his though. It's like that was very clearly him. But he was also, following what we were talking about, he turned his weapon of choice into a snowball and, and it worked.
Thankfully it worked. Yes. So this slide that we're sharing with you was just like way too much fun. I mean, really, I know there are so many challenges in your lives as educators, but really you laugh your way through your days. You have amazing opportunities to just enjoy and relish childhood, and what a fabulous gift. So I feel like these photographs just radiate that joy. One of the pieces of media that Mary Eileen and I were very excited about in the Eleanor Wonders Why collection, that's part of that Teaching Seasons with Science collection in the self-paced learning courses, was an experiment making a blubber glove. And I'd love to know if any of you have done this experiment before. This was both of our first attempt at it. And really, you're just lining Ziploc bags with vegetable shortening. So one is lined with shortening and placed into another bag, so double bagged. And then there's a plain bag. That's it. And it's ice water. I mean, really, it could not be more basic, but it was just like way too much fun to do this. And Mary Eileen had pre-planned, with a slideshow of different animals who have blubber and the ways that they move through snow and ice and freezing cold water. And so here we are with our very basic little cooler of ice water, having a great time. And
yeah, and anything that, any experiment that's called the blubber glove, I mean, it's going to be good. The kids love just the sound, the rhythm of saying blubber glove. We just had a lot of fun with that. Just the name itself. We really should put blubber glove on this slide, Jamie, because it's funny.
Yeah, well, the sound bite is on here.
Okay, great.
Here we go.
The dry one that didn't have blubber was cold inside the ice. And the one with blubber wasn't cold.
Wow. So what did you learn about blubber?
It was so amazing.
So did you find out what blubber does for animals in the freezing cold ocean?
Yes,
What does it do?
it keeps you warm.
I seriously could listen to that every day. I think it makes me so happy.
It was amazing.
And I feel like when we isolate children's voices like that, it deepens all of the information that they're sharing and just their effort of putting together that language. So some of the vocabulary that your students shared, Mary Eileen, was so impressive.
It's true. Little 4-year-olds know so much.
And it was exciting to realize that within the idea of media literacy, there's extension, experiment kinds of pieces of media that can be integrated. So sort of stepping away from the idea that it all has to be digital and to really expand our ideas about what media means and how students can become media literate, and then sharing these experiences with families. So imagine the difference, of hearing your child tell you like they wore a blubber glove at school and you're like, okay, that sounds cool. And then getting Mary Eileen's 4K newsletter that has these beautiful photographs in it, along with a soundbite that really helps the family feel like they're right there having that exciting experience with their child. Can you tell blubber glove was by far my favorite? Too fun.
We love the blubber glove. And blubber has some very practical purposes. So I'm feeling better about my own blubber.
Yeah.
It's been warm this winter.
Excellent. And if you have questions that you'd like to put into the chat, we are happy to answer them or clarify anything that might seem confusing, or if you're searching for details. Along with the Teaching Early Science Changing Seasons collection, I just wanted to highlight some of our other self-paced learning courses. And Nick, if you could put that link into the chat for everyone, we have all of our registry credit self-paced learning courses listed for you with the links to the registry. And then I wanted to highlight these because they're very media specific. I'm sure you have students who are obsessed with Wildcrats. I remember being invited to a Wildcrats birthday party when I was a 4K teacher, and it was a high honor and so adorable. And just a fun fact, PBS has a whole resource collection of birthday party favors completely free that parents can print off. It's fabulous. So exploring media with Wildcrats is wonderful. Thinking and Making with Media is another self-paced learning class, which has so many wonderful resources within it. So even if you don't necessarily need the course or the credit, consider these self-paced learning courses as like a whole learning file of resource collections that you can immediately use. And then Sharing Media with Peg and Kat. Maybe some of you are familiar with that PBS show. It's mostly math-based. And then Supporting Play with Media and Technology, which I love because I don't think we need to feel like we are compromising play by integrating media. And that's really one of the strongest messages that Mary Eileen and I want to share with you today, is that play was at the very center of the choices that we made in integrating and creating this media with children. I hope that you felt like we made it as playful as we could, because that's what makes early childhood so fabulous, right? Anything you wanted to add to that at all, Mary Eileen?
I don't think so.
All right.
Thank you.
And then you might be amazed that we've got a Create Media with Scratch Junior course on here, and that is really helping young children learn about coding and the idea of coding, making patterns, and repeating themselves. So there's some fantastic activities in that course about even doing coding with your body. So it's not just digital and virtual focused, but I feel like PBS really makes a point of getting all aspects of children's learning development. And it's just wonderful to see that they have included activities for their large motor development in that idea of coding as well. So I hope that you visit
Jamie?
those. Yes.
There was a question in the chat about what age is that good for? Would you surmise?
All of these courses are geared for 4K through 2nd grade. And I think if you're looking for younger grade level resources, we have courses from the Sesame Workshop that maybe aren't necessarily as media creating focused. But in the link that Nick shared, you can find some of those Sesame Street and Communities or Sesame Workshop courses that are even for younger children too. All right. And Nick, here's another link for you to share. Thank you very much. Happy week of the young child, everyone out there. I hope you had some fun celebrating day one of this special week today in your learning spaces. But starting on May 11th, we are hosting a media literacy book club with Weka on the book that I mentioned earlier by Faith Rogal called Media Literacy for Young Children, Teaching Beyond the Screen Time Debates. And it is full of compelling, interesting information with fantastic resources. And so our hope is that we will have wonderful discussions around this book, and that I can continue to provide media literacy resources, ideas, and activities for you as we work through this book with one another. So please consider joining this free book club series, and it will also be available for registry credit. If you're a Weka member, you do get the book for free, which is pretty fabulous too. So if there are any questions on that, I'm happy to answer those. All right. And Nick, I have another link for you. I would love it if you could fill out this online survey. It really helps us to tailor our webinars and other offerings from PBS, and it is just extremely helpful. So thank you for answering these 5 questions for us. It really gives us a lot of great information to make learning as meaningful for you as possible. So thank you for taking a look at that while we share the last few minutes of our hour with one another. All right, I think, did we get that into the chat at all?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nick. All right. And Frank has used Scratch Junior. Yes. Oh, it's wonderful that you are teaching at the college level and thinking about media literacy and simple language. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Great. All right.
Thank you for allowing me to attend.
Oh, appreciate you being here. Mary Eileen and I would like to leave you with our email addresses in case you're thinking about this later and you have some questions for us, or you'd like us to expound on any of the things that we shared with you. So please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to talk further about media literacy. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen while we wrap up a little bit, but we are happy to answer more questions from you. I appreciate your patience with the Zoom fading in and out tonight. And I'm excited to share that Mary Eileen was not a believer. When I first came to her with this idea and wanting to bring media into her classroom, she was very skeptical. She wasn't too keen on the idea of having learning tablets out and available, doing some of the cool apps and games that we have that are winter related themes. So is there anything you wanted to add along those lines, Mary Eileen? Have you been transformed?
Well, I think it was also because in 4K, like we had all just been given like this classroom set of tablets. And I just know that in the course of my day that there isn't enough time for me to do what, you know, like for them to have enough time to play together. And so I thought it was going to be more like using the tablets and having apps and they're like sitting and engaging with apps in the classroom. So like I said earlier, like I really needed to like kind of stretch my understanding of media. And like you pointed out, like you use it all the time and you don't even notice it. Like what I was saying earlier, like going to YouTube to hear what a cardinal sounds like, you know. So yeah, I just needed to be expanded. You expanded my mind, Jeannie. And I like what we did. I thought it was really fun. And I did actually, I said, I don't want to be too close-minded, so let's try it. So we downloaded some PBS games on the little devices and I didn't like it. And the kids, that was the best part. You know, I was like, yes, they'd rather play with each other. So, you know, a few would come over and play and then, you know, like, and then a bunch would come over and watch, you know, I'm like, wow, this phenomenon of watching other people play video games, like this is real. It starts young. Like, I noticed that I think the Orpheum or something, they're going to have one of those things where you go and watch other people play video games. Well, you know, well, here it starts in 4K. But anyways, we didn't really go for that so much. But we had it available. And after that first day, nobody really went back to it. But they were very much more interested in the other stuff. The creating rather than consuming, but consuming smart bits. I'm down with that.
And I think parents enjoyed hearing about these apps that they could use that connect with what their students are learning and help share some of the Eleanor Wonders Why characters too. So it was just a good variety thanks to Eleanor Wonders Why and the Teaching Early Science collection. Looks like, Jacqueline, thank you. Yes, I have email addresses for all of you, and I am happy to share these slides with you. Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. And this webinar has also been recorded, so if there's anything you ever need to refer to, it will be on our PBS website. Wonderful. Any other questions that anyone has regarding playful media literacy? All right, Layla's giving us some applause. Thanks, Layla. We appreciate you spending an hour with us and taking the survey. And thank you, Jen, for reminding them about the certificate. Thank you, Kristen. Nice to see you. Or not see you, but know you're here. Wonderful. Well, we'd like to stay to our hour commitment. And yes, you will be getting the certificate once you fill out the survey. And if you need help getting that link to the survey again, we can happily share it with you. Glad you were here, Frank.
Jamie, are you going to be sending out a follow-up email to everyone who registered with
Yes,
all these links?
absolutely, yes.
Great.
And it looks like Nick posted the survey website again for you. So if you need to fill out that survey, Frank, were you going to share more parting thoughts with us right now? Go for it.
No, I was just waving to say goodbye. I really think, you know, helping the littles be comfortable with creating and not just consuming all the time is so important. And
Yes.
yeah, like Mary said, a lot of times they understand their parents' phone, but a lot of that's just consuming and just, you know, watching or playing games. Whereas those projects you guys did and shared, whether it was sparked by the winter unit, just really, you know, really help them see that the device as a digital content creator, rather than just a consumption device. So yeah, that was great.
I really appreciate that you joined us tonight, Frank. Your perspective was wonderful for other teachers to hear. So thank you so much.
You guys have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, happy week of the one child and young child and best wishes to everyone.